I was hopeless and I was in bed almost all the day, not looking forward to anything, not willing to do anything. I was just floating. Like taking meds helped me recover 90%, but I couldn't get past that and reach 100%. And I saw this startup working on this cool thing, and I really like their approach towards it because you're also sorting out your nutrition, sorting out your thoughts by talking to a therapist. You're also getting medication from psychiatrists, and you're also working out because there's a fitness coach. So all these things together made me win the war. Who is Yashwanth? I would define myself with 3 identities I have. One is that I run a startup called Hashmint. We are building an e-notebook with stylus where you can write, read and organize your work. Second one is that I love my friends and family so much. That's one of the identities I have. Third one is that I'm an aspiring philosopher. I read a lot of epistemology, science and physics. Those are what define me. What book or movie character do you relate with the most? Why? I relate to the character called Siddhartha in the book Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. In the book, Siddhartha goes through all sorts of journeys in life. At the end, it comes to a point that just being as a human being and living the life is what matters. Although there's a lot of chattering going on in your monkey brain. You went through derealization. Can you explain what is it? When did you realize you were going through something? So basically, derealization is a thought that everything around you is not real. Although it sounds a little funny, the problem comes when the thought keeps occurring again and again without you wanting to happen. So your rational brain tries to sort of scare away this thought or like send this thought away. But the problem happens when both rational and irrational minds fight and there's no end to it. The thoughts will race until there's no way to get out of it. Initially, I thought this was just maybe because of lack of really good sleep for a couple of weeks, burning out and having a lot of caffeine. I thought I would solve it by myself. If I was peaceful and if I was exercising and doing everything well, I thought it would get sorted by itself. But then even after 1 month of trying everything, I was still having this thought, and it went to an extreme that I sort of started believing in the idea that this might actually not be real. That's when I realized I have to approach a professional for help. How was your productivity affected because of depression? How did you manage running a startup with your struggles? One thing is that I'm really passionate about what I'm building. So initially, this didn't affect me that much because I was still working as effectively as I could. But slowly, this demon started taking a lot of my time, a lot of my brain's capacity. At one point, it was really tough to work. I still had the work ethic to do what I was doing, but it was tough to do something when there is a constant thought that the thing you're doing is not even real. What is that one thing you actually liked about your depression? Honestly, there's nothing that I liked about my depression. I always wanted to get out of it as soon as possible. I know you love reading or studying. Generally, people try to rationalize or think their way out of depression. How did that work out for you? How is it different than therapy? So, reading or studying and rationalizing has always been my strength. But in this case, it was the weakness. Because as much as I tried to rationalize or think through out of it, it only made things worse, and my brain was just getting tired with all the fight between rational and irrational parts of it. Sometimes just letting go instead of trying to understand it can really help. This is what I learned through therapy. There are only 3 ways out of anything. You either accept it, you either change it, you either escape from it. There's no escaping from this. I couldn't accept this. I tried to change it as much as I can, but it was not working. So the only way out was accepting it. Therapy taught me the ways to accept it gracefully and move on from there. During all of this, you lost your grandfather as well. How did you cope with it? So the time I lost my grandfather, I was almost recovered by then. But then losing someone I really love and admire has affected me a lot, and I went into derealization again after that. It was really, really tough. How do you think he would have guided you in this? What would he have suggested? So he was a big reader and philosopher, and all my interests in philosophy come from him. I think he would have helped me in accepting the truth as soon as possible and moving on from it instead of trying to rationalize it and falling prey for monkey brains chatter. How did your friends and family react to you joining the program or asking for professional help in general? So even before my friends and family reacted to it, I would start with reaction I had for myself. So while I was going through this, I could have gone to professional on the day one itself and solved it as soon as it was possible. But there was a lot of stigma around mental health. Even in I've seen a lot of my friends go through mental health struggles, go to therapy, go to psychiatrists, etc. But still, there was some stigma in my head, and that prevented me from going to a psychiatrist in early stages. Actually, my mom suggested me to go to a psychiatrist in the start itself, but the stigma in me prevented from going to a psychiatrist. How would you have wanted them to react? Anything you would have wanted to change? Just generally, I think people should treat their mental health like physical health. If you have any problem with your physical health, you go to a doctor. Similarly, if you have a problem with mental health, it's not totally controllable or in your hands always. You need help from professionals who has seen cases like this multiple times. So the stigma should be prevented or avoided as much as possible, and people should go to psychiatrists or therapists whenever they need it. What made you choose Mave Health? What was your first impression? One reason behind choosing Mave Health was, by the time I chose it, I was hopeless. I tried all the ways. I tried fixing my sleep schedule, fixing all the habits I had, even going to psychiatrists and taking meds. Taking meds helped me recover 90%, but I couldn't get past that. I couldn't get past that and reach 100% that I wanted. And there were a lot of side effects of medication as well. I was suffering from something called akathisia, which is psychomotor restlessness. I was also suffering from tinnitus, which is that you hear sounds in your ear which are not actually happening from the external setting. These are just cochlear emissions from the internal eardrum. And this happens sometimes because of side effects of medication. So there were all these things because of medications, and also I was not able to get past that 90% of improvement. And I saw this startup working on this cool thing, and then there were really good reviews about Mave Health, and I thought I would just give it a try and get out of this phase. Share your experience about the program. What did you like the most? So during the first week of the program itself, they conducted blood tests, and during the course of the program, I had consultations with psychotherapist, psychiatrist, nutritionist, fitness coach, and a program coach. What I like the most about this is the multi-dimensional aspect of this, because you cannot target at this demon from one angle and win the war. You have to sort out all things in your life to get over this. And I really like their approach towards it, because you're also sorting out your nutrition, you're also sorting out your thoughts by talking to a therapist, you're also getting medication from psychiatrists, and you're also working out because there's a fitness coach. So all these things together made me win the war. How do you feel now? What changes do you see after the program? So slowly, the mood began to get better. Just before trying out the device, I was hopeless and I was in bed almost all the day, not looking forward to anything, not willing to do anything. I was just floating. By the first 5-10 days of using the device, I was seeing the improvement in my mood. I was looking forward to things. I was looking forward to meet people. I was looking forward to work out every day. I think by the time I used device for 15 days, it was almost sorted. I stopped getting any of those thoughts. My mood gotten incrementally better. I was waking up early in the morning and working out, and I was working on my startup very effectively. And my co-founder could see a difference in my performance in the startup as well. Would you recommend Mave Health to your friends and family? Definitely. Whomever I come across these days, if they're suffering from some sort of mental health problem, I always recommend them to check this TDCS and get on the program and like help themselves. So yeah, definitely I would recommend. What superpower would you want your brain to have and why? So I would define happiness as the state where your monkey brain doesn't have a lot of chatter and you are just in the moment and living in the present. So one superpower I would choose for my brain is to reduce the chatter of the brain as much as possible and try to be in the present moment. What would you say to someone who is struggling with similar issues? The problem with these mental health issues is that most of the times you think that you are the only one going through this and no one else would be able to understand what you are going through, and it's very difficult to get out of this. But what I would suggest to people who are going through a hopeless situation is that there are professionals who have really seen these cases multiple times. It's not really unique. I mean, the situation you are in might be unique, but these problems are not really unique. There are hundreds of thousands of people out there who are suffering from similar problems. So please try to take professional help as soon as possible, and that would definitely help you and get you out of your hopelessness situation.